What's up, guys? teamknl here, Kai. Sorry I haven't uploaded any videos lately. It's been kind of crazy how life and no life works. Yeah, just uploading videos now, and hopefully you guys will be able to enjoy this video and ideally the many others that I will continue to upload in the upcoming future. So, as you can see from the 3 cards that I have already on the mat, as well as ideally this title of the video, um, we are going to be talking about MST. And we're going to be talking about how some people play it and how some people play it wrong, and how powerful this card is, this format. Technically, it's been powerful. Well, it wasn't that powerful last format, but this format is especially powerful because I feel that there's a very specific way you should be playing your MSTs this format. So, what is one common way that people like to play or misplay their MST? Well, the most common way is to blind MST. Your opponent has 2 or more back row. You don't know if any of them are live or could potentially threaten you, so you just MST one of them and you ideally hit something good or you hit something bad like this MST. So, where do I feel that this should be used? Well, this should really be used when you're going for a plan of aggression, such as you're going to put something very threatening on board, such as a Logia, a BLS, Dark Arm, something very, very powerful that you want to make sure that it does as much damage as possible. So, blind MST, I would be okay with that in that situation. What else? If you're also going to OTK that turn, blind MST, that is an acceptable move in my eyes, if my eyes weren't damaged. But regardless of which, that is really the only time that I feel you should blind MST. Blind MSTing just a blind MST with no plan of action is what many people consider a very scrub-like move. It's something that you don't really get anything off of. If you hit a powerful trap, yeah, great. That's cool and all, but all they can do is just set another trap, and you don't know if it's a good trap or not, and you're just back where you were last turn when you just blind MST'd. So, that is when I feel that you should blind MST. That it would be okay to blind MST, my bad. When you're going to put something powerful on board that will do a lot of damage, ideally, or you're going for OTK. So that is when I feel it is acceptable to blind MST. So focus, come on, whatever. Pretty much another way in which that people use blind MST is the end phase MST. So people would like to set their MST plus ideally more traps or whatever to pretend that they have a back row, and then your opponent just sets either 1 card, 2 cards, whatever, however many cards they want to set or whatever. And then during your end phase, you will just MST one of their cards. Now, the merit to this is that if you hit a chainable card, it cannot be chained because they just set it that turn, so that's good. However, I don't really like this move at all either, because what if you hit an MST that your opponent's just trying to bluff? Or what if you hit like something that was dead against you already, such as, say, you blind MST their Heavy Storm when you don't play any back row at all. So, I mean, it's just subpar in that opinion. The only time I would really do that is, once again, if you're following the rules of MST, blind MST. The end phase MST should follow the rules of blind MST when you're going to put something powerful on board, or you're going to have a plan of aggression next turn. Or, there is one exception that I will make. If you're playing against something that does not play, that plays like 1 or 2 to no back row. Something such as agents. Now, agents, they have a very powerful card in their hand, which is Treacherous Trap Hole. And this card, if you do not play around it correctly, is a +1 for them. Or if you do play around it incorrectly, where you MST it and you have monsters on board, this is a +2. So a very powerful card that agents and some other decks have in their arsenal. Heretics, I believe, also can play treacherous, but yeah, if you can sense that they have a treacherous, if they're gonna set a treacherous or whatever, then yeah, I'll accept the blind MST as a form of acceptable use. So that is probably the only instance in which I would ever attempt a blind MST if you were gonna follow me, because I have credentials and whatnot. Not really, but that's just my opinion. Many pro players I've seen have agreed to this, which is why I've decided to just post this up, even if people don't think I have credentials. So, if you ask a pro player all this stuff, they'll probably ask you to say the same thing. That's all I'm going to say. So, yeah. Another way in which that you can use MST is something that I like to refer to as MST my gores. MST into my gores or something like that. I'll figure out some silly name for it, but it's not something that I came up with, so I'm just silly name for what I'm going to call it whenever I do it, should I ever main deck gores ever again. But ideally this move is, well, for this move to be of maximum effectiveness, your opponent needs to already have one or some back row. It doesn't matter. And ideally no solemn warning, but so your turn, you just set your MST with your gores in hand, and you end turn. So then they go on and let's say they put Thunder King on board, and you go, okay, pretend that's Thunder King. That's, yeah. And then they just attack with it. You would then just blind MST whatever card that they have, and from there you would then, since the attack has to go through because there's no replay, since there's no change of monsters or whatever, unless they play like Call to Haunted or something and change the number of monsters on their side of the field, I believe. But either way, the attack will go through. Your gores will activate and start doing some damage, because Thunder King says can't do anything to gores unless he's backed by Solemn Warning or Dimensional Prison / Mirror Force. So from there on, your gores does damage and potentially can win you the game, because these situations I have seen have been the downfall of a player who's fallen for such silly antics. So yeah, that is also an acceptable move for MST in my opinion. It is a very good MST move. One in which that I have lost to on a multitude of times. Two times? No, I think it's only been used once on me, but, still very good. Lost the game because of it, good move and whatnot. So, the last thing that I feel that this is what you should be doing most with your MSTs nowadays is saving it for that one card that's going to hurt your deck. Now, I'm pretty sure you guys, if you're either playing this or you're hating this card, Macrocosmos. So Macrocosmos is a card that is perceived to be effectively very good in this format right now, as it destroys a large percentage of decks, and whatever other decks that it does not destroy, it hinders them to some degree. So, in this case, more often than not, this is where I always hold my copies of MST in hand, because of their cards that can change, that can eventually sway the game in their favor. Macrocosmos is one of those cards. That Skill Drain is another one of those cards, especially since you have to pay 1,000 to activate it, then you chain MST. That's 1,000 damage they just did to themselves for no reason. I love doing that. And then Call to Haunted, when this card is actually very powerful. I would not be surprised if it got hit on the ban list, but Christia or Thunder King, if they choose to put one of those when you're activating Duality or attempting to special summon something, you just activate your MST, boom, your problem's gone, and they have nothing else they can do against it. So, and then Wind Up Factory. Some people don't think this is a viable target for MST, but I don't know why. Because Winding Factory is Black Whirlwind on crack, I guess is the only best way to explain it. Pretty much being able to plus during your opponent's turn is kind of dumb, as well as plussing just for doing nothing, just for activating Rabbit's effect, just for making your opponent -1. But, bam, +1. That's +2 ideally in terms of card economics, and it's just really good. It allows you to wind up player to form their hand into Magician Shark and then just wait before they activate the Magician Shark in your most untimely fashion for you. So just save the MST for this card, and you save ideally you save yourself from Magician Shark for like a few more turns. So then the main reason for why people started holding MSTs in their hand in the first place, Abyss Sphere. Obviously, Merlantians can do a lot of damage if they manage to resolve an Abyss Sphere during your main phase 2. So keeping the MST in your hand, especially in this matchup, is of major importance. So yeah, that's some cards in which that in the first game in which that you save your MSTs for. And also there are other cards in which many people side deck that can potentially hurt your deck as well. So, which is the reason why I never side out my MST, even against something like Agents where they play something to no back row. I still keep them to 2 MST anyways, because more often than not they're siding in something like Decree, Soul Drain, one of these two. Goes in matches or rivalry, depending on what deck they're playing. There's almost always something to hit with MST. So, which is the reason why I feel that people shouldn't worry so much about what face downs they have, and what you should worry about chaining to whatever face ups that they do have. So, that is my opinion on MST. And oh yes, one more thing about MST. Some of you are probably wondering why. Let's say your opponent goes duality and they know you're playing, let's say, Dino Rabbits, and they search out a bottomless and they set it along with some other back row, so you don't know what else they set. Now, some people would many people would probably MST in this situation, but personally for me, I would not. Now, why is that? Because the way I play my deck, which is Dino Rabbits as of currently, I use my monsters as spell and trap removal bait, especially the vanillas, which is why I love drawing vanillas. Not too many vanillas, but I still love drawing the vanillas more than most people would. So, I just summon the vanilla and start doing some damage. Eventually, they will have to be pressured into playing that Dimensional Prison or Bottomless or whatever. But if they had Bottomless and my vanilla is just dealing damage to them, it's a bit too late for Bottomless to be live. And this way, you can just pressure them into using their 1-for-1 remove on your useless cards, like your vanillas, and then you can save your MST for something important that may ruin your plan, such as Ghost and Match or whatever. So that's just how I feel about those kinds of situations. Like nowadays, I don't ever use my MST. If I draw it, I hold it in my hand usually, unless it's a matchup where I know they're going to activate something on my turn, then I'll set an MST. But usually I hold MST in my hand unless it's something that is going to absolutely destroy my game plan, such as Ghost and Match or Abyss Sphere, annoying cards like that. So, yeah, tell me what you guys think in the video down below, of this video, in the comments down below. Like, rate, comment, and subscribe, and hopefully more videos to come soon. Team KNL out.